what I found here a couple weeks ago, I was in a used bookstore, and I found a 1949 Centennial legislative history booklet. And in this legislative history booklet of California, it was talking about the common law. And it stated specifically in there that this nation and the Founding Fathers specifically adopted the common law because it tends to protect the rights of the individual people, and that the Roman civil law tends to protect the rights of the prince, or in this case, the state. And so, looking into this, the California Civil Code wasn't adopted until 1872. In 1967, the state adopted the Uniform Commercial Code. In 2007, they married the Uniform Commercial Code into the Civil Code. So in reality, the Civil Code goes back to Rome, goes back to the Code of Hammurabi. In reality, the Civil Code was always the Uniform Commercial Code, and they've just sort of made it official. What I find funny, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Well, I was going to say, let me explain this real quick to you folks. What this man is saying with it, like if you folks have heard of like the Gambino crime family or the Cosa Nostra crime, whatever crime families. Okay, Rome, the word citizen just means a member of a family. It's civis, C-I-V-I-S, just means member of a family. So it was a great honor way back when, during the Roman Empire, say, I'm a Roman citizen. So you had a certain status, but then you also had a hierarchy. There was an emperor, so there was a senate, and then you were down somewhere on a food chain. So what's going on with being a citizen is that if you're saying that you're a citizen of the Lentz family, and my name is Karl Lentz, well, then I'm the dad, but I have certain duties and obligations to my children. So becoming a citizen, even though I'm the dad, I don't have rights. I have duties, obligations, and responsibilities to other citizens within my family, or the Gambino crime family that you always see them movies, the mob bosses at the top, and then there's henchmen and all these whatever guys at the bottom. It's the same belief about a Roman, hierarchy or citizen status. That's what's going on. So when this man, Mr. Hailstone's talking about, well, Mr. Hailstone, what's your first name? Do you mind?
My name's Ben.
Okay, this is Ben. So I know you're a good kid, and I really like. I don't know if you're young, but you sound like a real good kid. And you talk good, and that's basically what the codes are. And the common law is basically just like I say to folks, the easiest way for me to describe it is like Gilligan's Island. They could hold a trial on Gilligan's Island, and they did. They had a funny episode, where the monkey was like the judge, whatever. And everybody was trying to convince Gilligan because he was the seventh person out of seven survivors or whatever. And the common law is basically what is ever common to those folks, where they've established their rules. Like, it doesn't matter that Mr. Howell is a rich millionaire, and he might have been a senator in the United States. Now when they're in this jurisdiction, under this territory, in this jurisdiction, he's still going to wash the dishes. He's not going to be able to use status, because now it's the common law of the people. If you want to eat, you're all going to pitch in and help. So he can't say he's the king anymore, or he's the prince, or he's some special status. So that's why I'm just trying to explain to the people what you were going off on the codes like that. And some people might not understand to me. I make it as simple as I can about the codes, and I know you're doing the California codes and how everything merged, like equity merged with a common law. But a lot of people have a misconstrued belief of why equity merged with common law. Now, Ben, what do you believe that you were told why equity merged with a common law?
Well, seriously, I believe the attorneys did that specifically so they could get their foot in the door, so they could overlay this equity civil legislative crap and do away with the pure common law, because pure common law action was simply done in a declaration and with all the proper elements. Okay. So you didn't need an attorney for that. And I believe that's why in 1872 it was the attorneys that pushed to bring in all the codes in California and New York and start pushing this legislative equity side, and they've buried pure common law actions.
Okay, well, the English adapted it in 1860, 1861. We did like 1930, 1930.
Uh-oh, you broke up there.
Greg a second. Yeah, it's Greg's phone. He's got like a hands-free headset thing. No, so what I'm saying, if you go back in history, and this is what I did a habeas corpus show, It was to eliminate habeas corpus. It wasn't. I know what you were taught. I know a lot of research you've been doing, and I know you listen to a lot of Patriot shows. But it was to do habeas corpus. What was going on in England? You had Chancery, you had the Queen's Bench, you had the High Court, you had Superior Court, you had the Supreme Court. You had all different kinds of courts. These guys, I guess, make good money operating courts. So what was going on is habeas corpus orders were flying around all around merry old England. So the guy was going, well, let's get it out of the Court of Chancery. Let's bring it over to equity. Let's get my client over to the King's Bench. Let's get him over to the High Court. So you had this poor guy, well, not a poor guy, sometimes he was venue shopping to see where he could get a better deal. So it's like, hey, this is habeas corpus. You got the body in the wrong court. We're going to bring this court over here. No, the body's going to go to this court. No, we're going to go to this court. So I can imagine the nonsense that was going on. So they just said, no more of this nonsense. If you want to be a judge, you know what? You're going to have to wear many hats. You're going to hear equity, common law, maritime. You're going to hear everything that's before you. No more shuffling these people around. No more venue shopping. No more. And that's what you do with the Erie Doctrine. The Erie Doctrine 1938 says venue shopping. And that's what it is. You're not going to try to cut a better deal someplace else. You're not going to drag this guy and say, well, I got a lawyer. He's going to drag me to the King's Bench because he's got buddies. Or he's going to take me to the Chancery because he's got friends. And then they got tired of like, okay, what's the prevailing law here? It's like, thank God this country is common law. Over there in England, it's like, okay, well, who gets him? Exchequer, Chancery, who gets this body? Who gets to try this guy first? It's just like you hear with criminal cases here in this country, like Jeffrey Dahmer kills somebody in Utah, New Mexico, Florida, and then the feds want him. Who gets first crack at him? So usually all four courts agree. Who's going to hang this guy first? Can we get him through Texas? Beautiful. Texas gets him first. So Texas is going to run him through, and everybody's going to say, you know what, we're not going to prosecute this guy because Texas is going to kill him in 20 minutes. That's how they find him guilty. So to me, if you want to study that a little bit, Ben, maybe you can see if I'm right or maybe if I'm wrong. You know, and if you want to download the other show that I did with this lady, because she was trying to understand habeas corpus, and I was like, stop using their terms. Call it return of property. And then I let Greg come on, and Greg explained to you folks, stop diminishing the capacity of the subject by putting an adjective in front of the noun. You lose. It's like, I always say to people, Greg does it that way, I do a God theory. You see a thunderbolt hitting lightning right in front of you, like, oh my God. It's like, yes, this is God. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. This is my last day on earth. Oh, please don't kill me. And you say, well, I am the rainbow pony God. It's like, oh, Jesus, Lord, you scared to death. I thought you were the God. Well, no more rainbow ponies for you if you don't obey my commandments. It's like, oh, geez. You got anything to do with me today, God, the rainbow pony God, or can I go on my way? It's like, well, I'm warning you, heed my commandments, or else what? No more rainbow ponies for you. Oh, is that it? Huh. Okay, thanks. You know what? I'm really busy. I got to go take a dump. Get back with me next week. You know, I'm kind of busy. Obey my laws. Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm saying. So you just want to go in a court and you say you're a man. You don't. Once you say you're man Ben, that's good. I like the man Ben. But as soon as you say you're the man Ben Johnson, it's like, you just diminish your capacity a little bit because now you have duties, obligations to the family as a citizen known as the Johnsons. So then if you say you're a California resident, it's like, now you just reduce your status a little bit more because now you're saying you have a duty and obligation to all the other residents and citizens of California. So you keep dropping it down your status, the more paperwork. This is what I try to say to you folks. Just say, I'm a man. My name's Ben. How you doing? I got a claim. Because how many times do you see Supreme Court cases where it's anonymous versus anonymous, or they use the word John Doe or Roe versus Wade? How many times do you see Jane Roe, John Doe? You don't have to use a name, and you don't have to keep diminishing your status. Because every time you keep making these really long, ridiculous sentences, you just like, boop, 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 boop. How far down the food chain did you go by saying I'm Ben Johnson, and I'm an inmate within San Francisco, whatever prison they have out there in San Francisco Bay, whatever they call it out there. Then they say, oh, we're talking about a prisoner. Why don't you just say I'm a man? Instead of going boom, 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 boom. And then they're going to take your lowest status point and say, we're talking to a prisoner in like San Quentin. Just say I'm a man. And this man is doing me wrong. You know, and there you go. But if you reduce your status, keep going down, they're going to ignore you, like this lady was saying. Just like I said, just say you're a woman, your property needs to be returned to its place of origin, and that's it. And then she said, oh, the judge looked at me funny because I call my child a property. They said, well, that's just property is just what you claim is property to your person, exclusive to the jurisdiction to all others within society. That's property, which means your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, your rights, your heartbeat, your car, your toothbrush, your child, your husband, your wife, your mom. That's it. Only I get to call her my husband. Only I get to call her my wife. Only I get to call her son. The place of origin is with me. I created that child. That's my property. Is anybody else going to come and claim that that's their property? So I said, of course, the judge is going to curl up his nose because they want to say, oh, if we could use a legalese word like child or children, we could get her under some sort of 1947 UN Doctrine of Children's Rights. So not only do we still have jurisdiction and control over children because she's agreed to allow us grant or deny her motion, but the UN could actually come in and dictate to her what to do. They're going to try to use somebody else to keep their foot in that lady's domestic affairs, and to that lady's threshold, and to that lady's house. They're always going to try to keep their foot in the door. And like I said, like what Hillary Clinton did with Syria, she said on CNN, she said, we would love to go in there and take all the women and children out of Syria and protect them in their best interest because the men in Syria are no good or whatever. They're going to kill them all, put burqas on them, whatever they're going to do. But under the domestic authority doctrine, we don't have the right to enter into another state, into the domestic affairs of another state. We don't have that capacity. We don't have that power. We don't have the right to do that. Even though we could eat Syria up for lunch and run from one end of this country to the other end of the country by dinner time, we don't have the law which permits us to do that. So that's what I'm trying to explain to this Canadian lady. They are trying to keep one foot in the door to allow them to have the capacity still to run through your home. They're going to try to cut a deal with you because they're going to deny her motion on Thursday. She's going to be heartbroken. They might pull the heartstring card, bring the babies into the courtroom, have everybody screaming, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. Next thing you know, the state's going to say, hey, cut a deal with us. Yes, you'll get your kids back, but just let us come in once a year and let us just see how the kids are doing, and we'll let everybody go home and say, Mommy, please sign it. Mommy, please sign it. It's like, you know what? You're going to crack and you're going to sign it. I can't imagine if you don't crack and not sign it, because any woman would sign it.